Afrocentric. That is really, you're talking about how Afrocentric or Afrocentrism is different than ethnocentrism or white centrism or Western centrism, which we've been living in for the last 500 years. Everything from Orientalists that they define the new paradigms for us. They manipulated the language, they manipulated history, they manipulated what we say and how we say it and what information we consume. So how is the parallel the same thing, same power? So how is it different?
It's certainly semantics, and paradigms don't always fit congruently with other paradigms. And so a lot of times when people hear Afrocentric, they want it to match European-centric or ethnocentric. But when we say Afrocentric, we're saying that the black man, as you mentioned earlier, was throughout the whole planet. So from Africa, they had trading routes through where the Creek, the Minoan Islands, where Papua New Guinea is. In fact, I'll send you this video I have of a Chinese gentleman who did the DNA of China and said, those people were black too, said we're all family. And I think I read something that you said recently, I believe, that we're all black.
We're black.
Did you say that recently? Yes.
But the thing is, some blacks, and even in Africa, when you go on West Ghana or West Africa, and when you ask them what's your ancestor, they say Arabs.
Okay, sure.
So that they want to disassociate themselves from being black. And they say we were Arabs, we were whatever. Even here, you know, this DNA in business, everybody now is looking at their family trees, and you say, I'm 75% Scandinavian. And blacks start getting into finding out what other non-blacks ancestors in their family. So,
you want to hear something interesting?
Yeah, how that works.
I'm related to George Washington.
There we go. Well, George Washington was married.
We're all cousins.
Yeah. Well, you're rated for, but I'm sure George Washington has slaves.
Yes, that's right. That's
and you know, and I'm sure we don't know how many offsprings. I mean, those guys were very active there. Are we talking about power or race now? What's, you know, because sometimes race is social class, you know, like a very high upper class black, he's white. And
in some social cultures.
Yeah,
sure.
And a very poor white is treated as black. So are we talking about race or socioeconomics or what?
It probably is power. I was watching Egyptian television, and I noticed that this guy was just this suave character, a black man who was a businessman in Egypt. And that schism that we have here was not there at all. And it certainly has to do with power relationships. If the world were different now, Africa would be looked up and you say South would be up.
Yeah, that's why people spend millions of dollars on tanning, you know.
Yes, right.
Darker. And
so the ones who have the power and the influence shape and model our perspectives of the world. And so a lot of people would prefer to be white because it's easier. But I'm excited, you know, when I'm talking about this Afrocentric movement, because it's just describing such wonderful information that's been obscured.
Is it a reactionary movement to white-centric or just the original native movement?
It's a reactionary movement. We wouldn't even need it.
Defend ourselves.
Yes, defend ourselves.
Survival.
We wouldn't even need it if we didn't have these schisms between people and these negative paradigms that were created in the past to keep these people down.
Because it's all politics, because scientifically 99% of our genes are the same,
Yes.
isn't it?
That's correct. That's
So black, white, this is all politics. It is
Socio-political.
I mean, Obama is black. He doesn't
half
act
black,
like
though,
one.
really, but he really is half black, isn't he? I mean,
But
because
what
of
I'm
the
saying was
socio-political
when he's in
paradigm.
power, it doesn't strike you as black. He's been most of his life tried to be white.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I know.
he lived in a white culture.
I know.
Yeah, I agree. He lived in a primarily white
As a
culture.
personal, a black person living between those two cultures, two power, I know it's very hard to the sense of identity.
Yes, yes.
And you look every morning, you want to ask yourself, how much black should I be today, or how much white? I'm going to corporate, I'm going to work, I'm going to shopping mall. So it's always the questions. The thing is, when we talk about white privilege, they don't have to face those questions.
That's right. That's right. That's
They
right.
wake up, some toothpaste, and they are up to go in their elements.
And that's what the Afrocentric movement about. Tell you an interesting story. I was 12 years old, and my parents stopped at a service station to get gas in about, around 1970. I was born in 1958. And I walked to the bathroom, and on the walls was men, women, colored. It shook me to my core, because here at the latter part of the civil rights movement, it gave
Talk
me
about the 70s?
about around 1970. It was kind of washed up, but they hadn't changed it yet.
Yeah, I
Well,
see.
you figure from 1965 to 70 is only 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
But it let me realize the trauma that did to people. I opened the bathroom for colored. The floors were bare. The walls were bare. I looked in the bathroom for whites, and it had nice tile. But what happened with me, I said, why, I'm not white.
Yeah.
And I went into the bathroom, I'll use the word urinated or whatever. I went in the bathroom, and I said, man, my forefathers went through really some hell
Interesting.
in this country just so the status quo could feel that they were better.
And
it just-
interesting, most of this racism business, it really wants those people who are the white that were also oppressed
Yes,
feel
yes.
good about themselves.
Yes.
Because those people, instead of fighting the oppressor, they are fighting the blacks. So it's really it's interesting when you say slavery was made to control population. So make people feel I'm slave, I don't have to run away.
Because early in this country, indentured servants, whether they were black or white, worked together, lived together.
Yeah.
There were uprisings in New York and different places amongst indentured servants. And that's when the race card was brought in.
I want to go back to when you have a bathroom for
Yes, yes.
men and women and color. So that means even when they want to differentiate between men and women when they are colored, men and women, they are the same.
Well, right, and that's interesting. It didn't
Yeah,
say
it's
men
really-
colored
it's just-
and women colored.
Just all the same.
Yeah, so that whole thing, I mean, all kind of things went through my mind.
It's
the
very
implications of that
interesting,
was,
and,
whew.
Yeah, I mean, I know when we talk about racism and in the 21st century now, 2014, and everybody will say, blacks gained a lot in this country, we're a little bit different, we're better than, we have a black president, people not discriminated against. But about the subtlety of racism, it's really more powerful than in the 60s, in the 50s. Because when you look at what happened to Ferguson, it shook the country once more. It was how people feel about the police. It was divided, between the race. White, 63% of white trust the police and trust the judicial system, and almost 70% of blacks did not trust. So it's still there. Racism and the sense of it is still there.
And that's the resentfulness that inner city people feel, because the roots of the issue is not being addressed. And we have to look at the residual of where we are now and where we were, and we have to clean up that. I'm the kind of person, if I walk out that door and I am going towards that door, if I see a piece of paper on the floor, I pick it up and I put it in the garbage, okay? And that's how we've got to be about the race issue. These residual things from the Jim Crow era have got to be eliminated.
So why is it so difficult to look at those the core cause of the problem?
People just want to remain in their comfort zone. You know, people want to go to work and have an easy, quiet life. And if someone else is suffering, that's them suffering. It's not me. When the King Tut exhibit came here, I was communications chair of the NAACP of St. Paul. And we contacted all of the media stations, and only the African American newspaper, Insight News, showed this picture of the Caucasian King Tut that National Geographic has been pushing out there, and the black one, and said, wait a minute, what's up with this?
Yeah, and you see this a lot, you know.
Yes.
I mean, when we go and cover events, I found only alternative media is shown there. There's no Star and Tribune, there is no WCCO. So it's really telling the story also, the narration, the story been told to white young kids through all his life, and also to the black kids. You can have all the laws you want, that protect civil laws and all that, but the reality is a little bit different. You know how you know what they hear at home, what they hear on televisions, and all that. So you think we have a long way to go, or what?
You know, it's certainly how people are informed, and I believe we're in an inexorable journey. America's really a fascinating place. I mean, we had the Civil War, we write it ourselves. We had the Civil Rights Movement, we write it ourselves. We put Barack Obama in as the president, we write it ourselves. And I want to get a movie out on the awakening of Khufu so the whole world can see how Khufu really looked and those people during that era.
Yeah, well, you know, good luck with that. I know this one. Well, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks so much.
Very intriguing discussion. We have Les Lester here, a journalist, and a new book. Came up with a new book, The Awakening of Khufu, and it's Afrocentric issue, and comparing to other ethnocentric. And we'll finish this, and we'll see you next week. Assalamu alaikum, and God bless you all. Okay.